Hello and welcome to another video. In this video, I'm just going to take you through georeferencing a piece of raw imagery. Okay, so I've got myself set up. I'm in British National Grid and I'm looking at an imagery base layer in Arc GIS Pro. First thing I need to do then is add my raw image. Okay, that's appeared somewhere, so let's go and have a look at it. We'll see that's appeared in the sea, which is not where we want it to be. Because I'm in British National Grid, it's off the coast of Cornwall. If I was in a different coordinate system, it'd be somewhere else in the world. Let's go back to our target area then. Here we go. So we are looking at just north of Newport. So let's get set up. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is click on the imagery tab, and I've got this georeference button here, second one along. I'm going to press that. And that's going to give me this georeferencing tab, which appears between project and map, okay, right at the top. So if you click off it and you are somewhere else, you can go back and find it across there. Okay. First thing I can do then, with this new image, the raw image selected, is click Fit to Display. That's going to drag that image from where it is currently in the sea onto my map face right here. And there we go. Okay, so now that's in the right place, roughly, we can see the scale's wrong. So I can further change the scale and move it around using these buttons here. I've got Move, Scale, Rotate, Flip, Fix, Rotate. I can do whatever it takes to get this image roughly in the right place, just to make it easier for the GCP stage, which comes later on. So I'm going to change the scale. Turn that, speed things up a bit. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. That looks good. Make sure that's pinned. And we're going to move it as well. Let's move it roughly into the right place. Looking good. So at this stage, you're thinking you just print your map right there. However, we want to make it as accurate as possible. So we're going to add some control points. So control points, also known as ground control points, GCPs, effectively tie in that raw image to the ground in key locations. A couple of ways we can do this. You could use the auto georeference button. I hope that works. And I'll demo that in a later video. That's effectively going to do this process automatically. However, your base imagery is going to need to be of a very high standard, and I don't think it's going to work if we press it now. Our next option is to import control points. So if someone had been out on the ground for us and collected control points, and we could import those. That would look like a text file. However, I don't have one for this area. So that leaves me the third option to manually add control points. Okay, as we've talked about when doing this, I'm going to want to go from the raw image first to the reference imagery below. You want to pick things that aren't going to change and are visible in both images. And you want to get a good distribution across the whole image. So you're going to want a mix of them in the corners, across the top, the middle, the bottom, around the edge, in the center. You want a good distribution. You can do more research on that, and there's a number of different methods. However, you just want to make sure you've got a good distribution. If you have all your points in one place, that's going to warp your imagery, and you'll find that when you play with it yourself. So, zooming in, we'll pick this water treatment facility, the center of this southern pond. So from the raw image first to the reference imagery below. Turn that imagery back on. You can see it's moved. So I've just got one point there. Let's add a few more. That was top left, so I'm going to go bottom right. And I want things that aren't going to change too often between the two images. So buildings are good, junctions can be good, road markings can be good, or they can change. It's very dependent on the individual image. So I'm going to pick this junction here. And you'll notice that's way off. The more GCPs I add, the more accurate this should get, at least in theory. We can see that's updating continually as I add GCPs because I've got this auto apply setting on. If I turn that off, I would have to hit apply after each GCP. So I'm not going to do that. Okay, I'm going to add a few more GCPs. We'll go top right, find something that we can recognize in both images. And you see, even with 2 GCPs, the accuracy is starting to come along now. So I've got this prominent farmhouse here. I'm going to pick the bottom left corner of that, and I'm going to go from the raw image first to the referenced image. You can see the distances between these points is becoming less and less as the accuracy increases. So that's top right. I'm now going to go somewhere in the bottom left, or as bottom left as I can manage. Again, finding things that you recognize in both images can be difficult. So I'm going to go bottom of this football pitch, and I'm going to use the painted white line. So again, from the raw image to the reference image below. Okay, you'll see that changes each time. Okay, and because I've got my 4th point in there, I've got my RMS error come up. So this is my total RMS error. I've got my forward error, which should be the distance in meters. I've got an inverse error, which is the distance in pixels. And then I've got forward inverse, which will probably be calculated later on. You can also see these errors on my control point table. So if I click on this now, look at this table, I've got all 4 of my GCPs. Tells me the coordinate systems for both the image and the reference imagery. And then finally, I've got this residual. So this is the difference between the two effectively. And it's an indication of how hard the software is having to work to match those individual points. And the culmination of all this error gives us our total RMS error. At this stage, if I had one of these points with a really high error, I could turn it off, see what effect that has on the imagery. You can see the imagery shifting as I do that. I can also go through different transformation settings. So I can look at, because I've got less than 6 points, I can only do first order, but I had more points, I might be able to do second order, which is going to be more accurate. That's also known as rubber sheeting. Then third order, we won't worry about that. So I'll add a few more points and see what my results are. Let's find something recognizable in both images. There we go, prominent corner of a warehouse. You do have to be careful when doing things like in any building, industrial estate, road markings, street furniture, corners of farmers' fields, bushes. Has the item moved? Has it been rebuilt? Has there been significant change between the 2 images? I'll get a few more points. Where's a good spot? Junction looks nice and prominent. See, there's a bit of shift over here. And there's 6 points. So at that stage, I should be able to go second order. And again, that's going to change things again. When you play with this, you really need to go into it, play with the different settings, look at what's better, first order, second order, and really find out what works best. Okay, once I've done that, I can look again at my control point table. If I added more points, I'd get more points, I'd get more information on the RMS error. I'm going to go ahead and save those points now. I'm not going to click save because that would override this image. Instead, I want to save as new. So I've always got new data and I'm not potentially causing problems with my original data. Standard export raster settings. So I'm just going to add an output location. I'm going to save that in the folder, change the file name to referenced and hit save. And that is the entire georeferencing process. So have a play with that, try it with different bits of imagery. Let me know how you get on. Please like the video, And if you've got any questions, ask in the comments. Thank you.